Hey guys, it's Dave here with from Military to Millionaire. I'm here with Dustin Heiner at masterpassiveincome.com. Dustin and I met out at FinCon this year. You might notice that's kind of a common trend with some of my interviews lately because I met a ton of awesome people. So shameless FinCon plug. Anyway, so Dustin and I were just chatting the other day and we thought, hey, you know what? We'll do a quick interview, talk a little bit about his story, and then hit on some other important real estate aspects. And I guess that's about as good an introduction as I got, Dustin. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. So when you asked me to be on here, I thought, well, number one, I'm not military, but number two, I do have real estate experience, so maybe I can help out as much as I can. But number three, I love military. I love everybody. One of my best friend was in the military, and really encouraged him. He was actually, I want to say he was 29 when he joined. And so he a little older than some or most, but anyways, I've always been very, very passionate about real estate and about teaching real estate as well. But so I started buying in 2006 or 2007 ish. Bought my first house in 2006. Bought my first investment property in 2007, and just kept investing from there. And so if you remember, 2007 is right before the crash. Right before 2008, 2009, everything was really horrible. Bought my first property in 2007. I think I bought my second one in 2008 and my third one in 2008 as well. And just kept investing. Even though with the market crashing, I was still making money because cash flow is what I invest for and what most rental property owners invest for, is that monthly cash flow every single month. So yeah, I started back in 2006, 2007. And then I started really growing my business about 2011, 2012 to really get to a point where I could quit my job. I really got tired of working for somebody else. I was always a decent employee or good employee. I always get raises. My bosses always gave me glowing reviews, but I just hated working for somebody else. I liked having my own time, my own control over my life, my own money that I didn't have to worry about somebody else giving me. I wanted to be independent. So I just started investing in real estate, and after, I think it was 6 years, I had 19 properties that brought in, I think it was like $6,500 in passive income. And it took me another 2 or 3 years to actually get the guts to quit, because leaving that W-2 job where you get that steady paycheck every single month, that was really nerve-wracking. But as I grew my business bigger and bigger, I realized I was losing money. Even though I was making $70,000, $75,000 a year at my job, I was losing money because I could make so much more money on my own. So I was able to quit. Now I don't have a job. I haven't had a job for 2 years now, and I will literally never have a job again because of all my rental properties making me money every single month.
Yeah, it's super cool. And I like the fact that you hit on the cash flow, basically the whole recession-proof point in there. As far as you started investing in the time where most people now, we look back a decade and most people cite that time period as like I started getting investing, but I timed it at this time. And that's why I no longer invest in real estate. And I think that's, on a similar level. So I talk to a lot of my military people. They do like this. They buy a house at every duty station, which is a great concept. If every house at every duty station is bought as an investment, the numbers work, but they buy a fancy primary residence at every duty station, then they wonder why real estate didn't make them rich, because they're not cash flowing on any of it. And you, basically saying like, hey, I proved the fact that I bought in the worst time in the market, or even worse, your first house was bought before the worst time in the market. But it was bought for cash flow. So who cares if they're on a lease and they're paying rent and it's making cash? Then no big deal. In fact, in a lot of markets, rents kind of go up a little bit when it just depends. But if you've got enough of a buffer there, then you can hold the property.
Yeah, absolutely. And so as a landlord or as a real estate investor, because there is flipping, but that's not necessarily investing because you're working. Investing is where you invest your time and your money in something that continues on, in my opinion. Like if you buy a stock, you leave it there. That's investing somewhat. I personally don't invest in stocks because I'm horrible at it. I'm really good at buying buying high and selling low. Like I'm really, really good at that. And that's the opposite of what you want to do. Even if I try to, I would normally sell it here, so I'm going to buy instead. Even if I try to game my own mind, it doesn't work. I always lose money in the stock market. But I realized how easy it is to make money in real estate. And what's funny is the math to make money in real estate is so simple. I'm even teaching my 7-year-old how to do it. It's plus and minus. Your rent's coming in minus your expenses going out. And as long as you're doing that, you're going to make money every single month. And even with a market crash, even with a value of one of my homes dropping by half, people still need a place to live. That's bottom line. There's always going to be some place for somebody that needs to live. Also, there's always going to be somebody that's going to want to rent. Not everybody wants to own properties. Not everybody wants to be a landlord. So because of all those great things, I always have money. So if the market goes up, I make money. If the market goes down, I make money. If it goes sideways, I make money. And so every single month I make money. And that's how I'm able to support my family, is because of the money that comes in every single month from my rental property. So yeah, cash flow is by far the best way. And in my opinion, and this is something that I wanted to share, is that there are 6 ways that you can make money in real estate. But the first one is cash flow. And that is really the number one way that I invest, or reason why I invest in rental properties. But there are 5 other ones I want to quickly give you. Equity capture is another great way to make money. So if you buy a property at $100,000, but it's worth $150,000, you put $20,000 into it to fix it up to make it look nice and rentable, then you captured $30,000. So it's another great way to make money. Think of like somebody flipping a house. That's how they make their money. But if we own the house and continue to home, we also make money through cash flow. Then we also have the equity capture. Next one would be forced appreciation. So if I put $20,000 into that house, it's going to make the value that was 150, maybe 175, maybe 180, maybe 190. That work that I'm putting in will force the value of it to go up. So if I may only be in $100,000 to $120,000 after I put $20,000 in to fix it up, but what was $150,000 jumps to 175 or 180, whatever the appraised value is. Another one is market appreciation. So just over time, this is a great thing. Like in 2009, where the market just dropped and my properties were cut in half, I knew I was investing for cash flow, so I was still making money. But on top of that, the market will eventually go back up. Like it's not going to stay down forever. And so over time, real estate market will just continually go up, and you'll make back up your gains of where you bought it, and then some. So the longer you hold on to it, the more money you make. And another one is equity buildup. And this is on top of cash flow. This is probably my second favorite reason to own real estate, is because if I buy a home for $100,000, I use an FHA loan, or if you have a VA loan, which is even better, either at 0 down or 3.5% down. And let's say you buy a $100,000 house, and you put 3.5% down, because a lot of people would just do a FHA loan. That's $3,500, which isn't bad. So you have $96,500 balance. What's great with the equity buildup is your tenants pay off the rest of that purchase price of the home. The longer you have it, you actually keep making more and more money. So that equity buildup, as they pay it down every single month, remember the tenants are paying off your mortgage every single month. You make money, and that's basically going in your pocket in the form of your house. The last one is tax advantages that I just absolutely love. I write off everything for my business. You can do 1031 exchanges, where you take money from one property, move it to a like kind property, a property that's like kind. You can also, there's so many different great ways to have tax breaks and tax benefits. So those are quickly trying to go over the 6 different ways that people invest in rental properties. But cash flow is number 1. Number 2 is my tenants pay off the balance of the mortgage, and they pay the interest, they pay the principal, they pay the taxes, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and I especially love the equity buildup, because every now and then there's one of those really terrible months where you're like, I lost $100 in cash flow this month. Like I was negative this month. I budgeted for everything, but this month just everything went wrong. And then I pay my mortgage, and I look at it and I go, oh yeah, but I just paid $900 in principal down, so I'm actually $700 positive, and it not money I'm going to see right now, but
absolutely
a nice warm and fuzzy on those terrible months. So you mentioned the market appreciation, and I thought of, like, I'd never thought about it this way. I had a thought while you were saying that. Everybody freaks out in any market crash, right? The hardest thing to do, even when it's the right thing to do, is to hold. And I think that one thing I just kind of clicked for me as far as why I prefer real estate in that end is when the stock market crashes and everybody knows, like, I should hold, and they start freaking out and they sell anyway. a lot of that is because in the stock market, when it tanks, you don't know if the business is going to exist in 2 years. With real estate, at least like if I have insurance on the property, right,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be there when the market comes back up. The land will be there, the building will be there. It'll still be worth something. And unless you do something terrible or you like burn it to the ground and forgot to buy insurance or whatever, you don't have to worry about that. And I think that is probably what like mentally makes it easier for, at least for me, in that terrible situation of the market collapsing, to hold, because we know it's the right thing to do, but people still, I mean, it's like fire sale with stocks. And you hear guys talk about, and people who do very well, who are like, I knew I shouldn't have sold and I told myself not to sell, but I just couldn't hold any longer. And I think that's probably like the final straw, is like, man, I don't know if this company's even going to be able to bounce back. They might be out of business.
Well, the great thing is to help us as landlords is that all the other reasons why, like just because the value of your property, you perceive value, because that's, value is only what somebody else is going to pay for it. And so the perceived value is lower. Well, it doesn't matter. You're still making money every single month, passive income coming in. And that's what I invest for. And so even if it goes down, I'm fine. And so when I have a stock that goes down, I'm that guy like, oh man, I've already lost, 50%, sell now, it's going to go lower. And then as soon as I sell, it goes right back up. It's just, it's going to happen. And so if I have cash flow coming in, I'm like, I don't need to sell it. It's not a big deal. Like I'm not going to lose my shirt because I still have the property, and the property will still be there. And especially if you say, like you said, if you have insurance on the property, which I strongly recommend, definitely have insurance. Also have liability insurance as well on top of it, like an umbrella policy for liability, which I would strongly recommend. If you have multiple properties, do that as well. But it's so much easier to hold on to it when you're making money.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. So these reasons are great. Obviously, for some of my smaller commercial stuff, forced depreciation is like my favorite thing in the world. I mean, just knowing the fact that if I cut an expense, my property value goes up. Well, It's pretty easy to cut expenses. I say that, but it's also easy to make more expenses. But anyway,
sure is.
So what's your go-to strategy? Do you have a go-to strategy for purchase? Or, I mean, everyone's got their niche in the real estate world.
For me, it's investing out of state. I love buying single family homes, even duplexes, multifamily homes out of state. And so I started in California in 2006. And so California is one of the worst places, like New York and other places that are just really, really hard to buy properties that would cash flow. And so in 2007, when I started buying, I realized if I bought a house for $250,000, just a run of the mill, just, really plain Jane house for $250,000, I would only rent it for maybe $1,100 at most. So there's no money to be made there. I mean, really, if you can't pencil everything out, you're not going to make any money. And so I thought, you know what, I need to go someplace else. And I guess I'm not that risk averse. Like tolerating risk is pretty easy for me to do. My wife, on the other hand, totally opposite. I had to really convince her. It took me a lot of work to actually buy a property in Ohio. So I was in California. I've since moved to Arizona. So I live in Arizona currently about a year and a half now. I've been living in Arizona. Getting out of California is really expensive is a big reason. But so I was in California in 2007, couldn't buy any properties because they're really expensive. So I thought, let me look all over. And I just thought, hey, there's probably other places. So I looked in like Tennessee and Texas and Idaho. I started looking all over the place. Stayed away from the coast, because if you go on the coast there, it's really, really expensive in the coast. But I would say there is a way to make money on those areas, or there are many ways to make money in those areas. I personally said, I'm going to go to Ohio. So I bought my first property in Ohio, took all of our savings, every bit, like my wife and I just got married, and 6 months later, like after our wedding gifts and my little bit of savings and her little bit of savings, bought a house put $17,000 and bought a house, and then just kept building from there. So my niche would be buying out of state, building a business around that property, and then buying more properties around it. So you have that business. And if you have a retail establishment, like a grocery store or a convenience store, you have inventory that you got to stock inside of that store. Somebody goes in, buys a candy bar, and that's your inventory gone. You replenish your inventory. So I picture my business as a business that has inventory, and my properties are the inventory. Now, they don't actually ever get taken. People are just renting. Like if you rent a candy bar, you can't do that. But that's like renting a candy bar. They're renting my property. And so I set up a whole entire business that is basically an automatic business where I don't work. Like I've done so many great trips. This year I went to Europe for 6 weeks with my family. We went through 11 different countries. It was fantastic. The year before that, we went to Japan for 6 weeks, traveling all through Japan, driving all around the country there. I went to Alaska for a week and a half for fishing, went to FinCon where I met you for a week and a half and traveled all through there. So we love traveling. And the reason why I could do that is because I have an automatic business where I have property managers. I mean, everybody probably already knows all the different great people to have, but everybody on my list of team, everybody that's on my team, they basically run the business for me. And I just get the check every single month and just verify the income expenses. That's all I do. And they run everything. And so if I start a new area, usually I start with finding the property manager. If I can't find a property manager, I don't look to invest, because there was one place in Illinois that I couldn't find a good property manager. It was good prices on the homes, good rents, but I couldn't find a good property manager. At least I, wasn't able to find one. So I didn't invest there. I went on to like Houston, Texas, or other like Akron and other places like that. So I personally really enjoy buying single family homes and duplexes and smaller multifamily places out of state and building a business around that.
Yeah, I like it. So I didn't start that way, but I moved away from where I was investing. And so I now by nature invest long distance. And I think it's really cool that people are finally realizing that between technology and a team, that's really not that big a deal. I mean,
no.
A lot of people have I have no problem buying sight unseen as long as my property manager walks it with the inspector and gives me a thumbs up. Cool.
Well, I have 35 or so properties. I buy and sell. They kind of lose track. So 34 or 35 properties right now. And I've literally seen 2 of them.
That's
all
awesome.
The other ones I have not seen. And in fact, I started a whole brand new area in Texas without even flying to Texas. I bought a house, rehabbed it, everything remotely, basically just relied on everybody else, from property managers to contractors, plumbers, and all that. I relied on them to be my eyes and ears. And a quick tip, if anybody is going to be doing this, what I did was, instead of me going there and physically overseeing the rehab, if you have an idea like, I have X, Y, and Z, like I have 10 things I need to fix. Well, you have a plumber for here, you have a roofer here, you have a property manager, you have a cleaning lady. A quick tip would be, as you're talking to one of the other people, so like let's say you have a toilet leaking and you got a plumber in there to fix the toilet or replace the toilet. If you have a cleaning lady go in there, just literally ask her, would you please go in and use that toilet, or not use it, but flush the toilet, make sure that they could use it if they want, but flush the toilet, make sure it works, make sure it doesn't leak because there was a problem. Can you just verify for that for me? And more than likely, I've never had anybody say no. They always say yes, and they come back and say, this is what happened, or it leaked, or the sink leaked, or whatever it might be. I even had a sliding glass door. I had to pay like $1,800 for the sliding glass door to be replaced. And I had I think it was a yard guy. I asked him, can you go inside the house, because there's a lockbox, open and close the sliding glass door, just let me know how it works and give me your opinion. He came back and said, hey, it looks fantastic and it works great. So it's like, okay, good. So quick tip for you guys, use other people that you're working with to verify the other work that other people are doing. Like if somebody's building a fence, make sure that the plumber, hey, plumber, can you just walk by the fence and just make sure it's not going to fall down? Make sure it looks good, things like that.
That's a good one. I like that. I'm currently dealing with this. I've basically just started referring to her as terrorist, who used to be the manager in this monstrous thing that I bought, and we fired her and then found out she was on lease as a tenant, and the guy that sold it he owes me some finished products, and I guess he's been using her even though I told him I don't want her in the building. We finally caught her on camera doing some of the things that we knew she'd been doing. We just hadn't been able to prove, where it's like, hey, this happened and she was the only one with the key, so it had to be her. Oh, well, apparently it's been happened before. Finally, we put in cameras, and it's like, well, she didn't know there were cameras, and now we know. And I think that had he been verifying her work, he would have known that, because she puts on a good face. I mean, she seemed like a great person when I first met her. She didn't last 4 weeks before we got rid of her. And it is what it is, but I think that would have been really nice for him. I mean, if he'd been able to see what was actually going on behind the face. So who knows? That's actually a solid tidbit. I'm going to use that for sure. All right. So one of the questions, oh, sorry.
I was just saying, I when there's problems, like I had my very first property manager was stealing money from me left and right. So she started off doing really well, but after about 6 months to 8 months, she started a business. It was like a sandwich shop. She started a sandwich shop, and I saw my income expenses weren't lining up. Like there was quotes for things done or bills for things done, but no receipts. And so I was realizing she's stealing from me. And she was telling me in the time, like her business was either she was working on it, trying to make it better. She wasn't making enough money. She's trying to do marketing, all that sort of stuff. Not telling me things that were bad, but saying, I was kind of reading between the lines. I see, okay, her business isn't doing so well. And then I started seeing, oh no, like I have expenses here that I can't account for. And she couldn't, I'd ask her and she couldn't account for them. And then I just realized, okay, I got to fire her and move on. Now I chalk that up as the cost of doing business. Unless you're actually doing business, things like that are going to happen and you're not going to learn to not do those things again. So now I hire property managers very, very slowly. And so the cost of doing business is also basically it's like education for you as you're continuing on. So imagine you're going to college for 4 years or more years, you're spending $50,000-$60,000 or more in college. Well, maybe apply that to a property and just learn from the school of hard knocks. Now I've done that and it does cost money. If you do something wrong, that's why I would suggest talking to someone like David here or somebody else that can help you to invest right and not do the mistakes. Because I've done I probably done every mistake possible. Actually, no, I take that back. I probably haven't. There's probably so many more mistakes that I will probably eventually go through.
Knock on wood.
Exactly. There'll probably be many more mistakes that I'll make, but I help all my students by telling them, this is like, they ask me, here's a scenario. What do you suggest? And I said, well, this is what happened to me. And this is what I would do now because I've already done that mistake. So learn from my mistakes. And so if you're investing, definitely learn from as many people's mistakes as possible. And so, like I said, I just chalk it up as a cost of doing business. And if I did not tolerate that type of either risk or problems, I wouldn't be at the place where I'm at now. I'd still be working a job. Now I don't have to work a job and my business runs itself. So don't let that scare you, because in the end, it will all be amazing because you are developing a business that's going to be able to outlast you even to your kids and grandkids.
Yeah. Super cool. Yeah. And it is kind of funny that in the business of land, people are still like a lot of the hardest struggle. Anyway, one of the questions I always like to ask people is if an 18, 20-year-old walked up asking for your advice, you only had a minute to give it to them, what would it be? Like, what do you wish you'd been told?
Number one, don't go to college. That's the first thing I would say. Do not go to college.
Right out the gate.
It's a waste of money. It is. They're not going to teach you how to be a business owner, not teach you how to be an entrepreneur. But that's the big broad statement. Like, don't go to college. But here's the main point: is don't work for money. Make your money work for you. So you want to invest your money. If you didn't invest your money and you just worked for money, you're always going to be working for money. So you need to figure out ways to have your money work for you. And that's buying real estate. That's buying stocks or mutual funds, or even on top of that, not just having your money work for you, but to where you work once and you get paid multiple times. So if you write a book and you keep selling that book over and over again, you did the work once and then you make money over and over again. Or you like we do, buy rental properties and do the work over and over again. Like flipping a house, unless you flip the next house, you don't make any money. So think of ways that you can work one time and get paid over and over again. Write a song, like I said, write a book, do a blog, do a podcast where it's still there. Even though you're going to continue on a podcast and continue on with the blog, what you've created is still there and it's going to be there until you take it down, and you're still making money every single month. So that's what I would that's actually what I'm telling my kids. Number one, don't go to college. Number two, don't work for money. And on top of that, work to get education. So if my kids want to, get a job, I'm going to say, get a job doing something that you can learn from. Like I would literally pay Warren Buffett to work for him. Like I would literally write a check every single month to let me work with him because I know I would make so much money. Oh, hold on. That's my wife's phone. I thought I have my phone is,
no worries.
is fine. Okay. It's way over there. It's going to shut off in just a second. Sorry about that, guys. But I would say that I work for education or work for learning. And so I would literally write Warren Buffett a check to make sure that I'm continuing to learn from him. And at the same time, I'm going to get rich, because if I invest like he does, I would be just like him. And so I work for it. I work to learn, not work to get money, and then use your work, everything that you do, your actual, step-by-step daily things to make money that's going to to outlast you, to where you do work once and you get paid over and over and over again.
Yeah. That's super cool. So man, I don't want to be the one to go on the rant about college, but I will say that I'm currently finishing my associates, and I am only finishing my associates because it's free, and in the military, having your associates once you get to my level looks better for promotion. So it's kind of like, it'll help me, but in that regard. And my wife will tell you, and she has a master's, and she has a master's in a career that, I mean, college actually did help her, so good on her. I make more money, but it is what it is, and have no student loans. So, but man, I sit here and I do my 2 hours of homework a week, and I whine the whole time, because I tell my wife, like I'm doing real estate stuff. So like right now I'm taking an accounting class and a real estate finance class. And the entire time I'm doing my homework is like, wow, this is such a waste of time, because I haven't learned anything, because I already know all of this stuff. And if I didn't know it, I could Google it and find out faster than reading this textbook. And now I'm writing an essay on something that I would rather be writing. The one saving grace is that one of my essays this semester I got to repurpose as a blog post, but most of them I can't even repurpose. And then I get graded because I forgot to cite something the right way. And I'm like, I'm like, I write a blog. I'm not a great writer, but I can write, and my content was wonderful. And you still gave me an 80 because I messed up the format. Anyway.
Yeah, so I am so glad I don't have to go to school anymore. I'm blessed to not ever have to go to school again. But I don't stop learning. I'm always learning the things that I want to learn that's going to make me either a better businessman, a better teacher when it comes to real estate, because I teach real estate as well, I coach real estate.
Yeah.
Helping people to invest in real estate is one of my passions. I love doing that, but I need to learn how to do it better, like how to reach more people. So I'm always learning, but I'm learning the things that I want to learn, not what some teacher is telling me to learn. Hey, you're going to get this degree, you got to learn this, this, and this. Well, when I was, 19, when I was in college, I took a women's studies class. Not saying anything bad about women's studies, but I didn't want to learn it, and it wasn't going to help me apply anything to business to make money. But I still went through it. I still got a fine grade and everything. But I was like, now I don't have to take things like, I don't want to learn how to, I can't make baskets or weave or do pottery. I don't want to learn that stuff. And so I only learn the things that I want to learn now. And so, I want to encourage everybody, like, if they have the thought to not go to college, absolutely don't. And the reason why is because if you listen to David here, if you listen to myself or any investor, we could tell you how to buy your first property, work a decent job, save your money. There's also ways to get properties where you don't have any money down, especially if you have a VA loan. That would be fantastic to be able to buy a house. And so there's seller financing. There's so many great ways to buy homes without cash. But you bought one house, worked a decent job where you made some decent money, saved up money, sacrificed for a couple of years, then buy, after first house 1 year, next year, try to buy another house. Next year after that, try to buy 2 houses. Next year after that, try to buy 2 more houses. And next year after that, buy 3 houses. And it compounds and builds up. And what I do is, and the reason why I was able to build my business so fast was every bit of that money I saved from each property. I saved so I can buy the next property. And I thought, like, my wife would say, hey, why don't we go to Disneyland? I'm like, but that's a property I could buy with that money. Why would I want to go to Disneyland? That's a waste of money. And so instead of spending $5,000, I have that money to actually buy another property. Now, fast forward 12 years now, I can go to Disneyland and literally not think, like, not bat an eyelash. I don't, because it's really expensive. I just just that old stuff comes in. I'm like, I'd rather do other things with my money, like travel Europe for 6 weeks. That's what we spend our money on. But yeah, I'm just like you. And so it's a bummer, but hey, get through it. And if you're already in it, get through it. But you can make so much money and literally never work. Like, the reason why you go to college is so that you can work a job and make money. Well, if you can bypass the learning from college, and if you could bypass the working to where you're just making money, or your properties are making money, that's the best of everything. You buy properties and they make you money.
Yeah. And there are degrees, jobs that require degrees, and there are good jobs that you get with a degree. But the reality is, and I hear that all the time, is you get paid X amount more with college degree. Well, yeah, but how much did it cost you? But there's this mentality in life, and it's an easy mentality to get into. And I see it all the time now with all the minimum wage hikes that just got voted for. The problem, though, is that the income is very rarely the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's your expenses.
Absolutely.
And so when you get this pay raise, your income goes up, but I guarantee all your expenses do too. And so and that's like the whole premise is people don't think you make any money in the military or W-2 job, or, I mean, shoot, with some of these minimum wage, payments, my first 5 years in the Marine Corps, I'd be making less than someone at McDonald's is going to be making in my hometown. And there's great benefits, but the reality is that that's not the problem. The problem is what you spend your money on, and we're all terrible about that. But if we don't ever own that we're terrible about that, you're never going to make it anywhere with your money.
I completely agree.
Oh.
Completely agree. And what happens is when we do get a raise, we raise our standard of living. Like we go buy another car, or we buy some fancy thing, or a new TV, or we just spend money. Like I had I still drive my 2007 Honda Odyssey. So I bought it back in 2010, I think. So it's 2007. So I bought it in 2010, 2011. We started having more kids. And so we have 4 kids now. But I still drive that. And the reason why is because, number one, it drives just fine. Number two, it's not something I value. It's not like, a lot of people have a lot of value in their cars. I'm not saying that's bad. That's just not something that I value. We value traveling. But number 3, my kids would destroy that new car too. Like when they ride with their bikes next to the car and scratch it with their handlebars and stuff like that. I'm like, I'll just save myself the headache. Wait till they're a little older and then get something that's better. But yeah, it's the standard of living. You don't want to keep increasing your standard of living, because if you do that, I really like a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. Richest Man in Babylon is written by Richard S. Clausen. Great book. And one of the things that one of the characters says inside the book is that when you spend the passive income that you're making, you're eating the young that your offspring's making. Like your money is making more money, like offspring. Like your money is making kids. And if you're eating those kids, you can't make more. So that's in all to say, whatever money that comes in from that passive income, imagine like it's not even there to spend, but it's there to invest. So any penny that you make, every penny that you make sure you save it aside so you can buy another property. And then, 8-10 years, you'll have so many properties where you're like, why am I working? This is just wasting my life. Let me just quit because I don't need to work. And that's where I got to. And so praise the Lord, I'm able to where now I don't have to work a job ever again.
Yeah, that's super cool. And that is a good book, which actually, so one of the other questions I wanted to ask that I always ask, and you mentioned the long distance. So that might have actually been something you could answer this question with, but what makes the Dustin Heiner method of investing unique or different or successful, I guess?
Yeah. That really is where I'm really good at, is investing remotely, finding a good area, finding decently priced. I mean, they're not going to be, back in 2010, we heard about Detroit where people couldn't even, be given homes because they were that bad. I'm not talking about those type of homes, but I'm talking about homes that are like in the Midwest that are like $50,000, $60,000 where you could rent it for $800 to $900. You can make money. And so my niche would be to find properties in good areas and that are decently priced that you can make at least $200 to $300 a month, if not more, on a property. And so that's where I really go after. And now all my students that come to me, they really want help learning how to invest remotely, because not everybody lives in a place where you can rent in your backyard and make money. Especially if you live in Hawaii, it's going to be really, really rough to do. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. I love investing away from me. And I'm a doer. Like you could maybe tell, but I'm pretty active. I really like I'm pretty positive. I like going. And I'm the type that if I invested, maybe if I had a property that was maybe 20 minutes away or even 30 minutes away, if I got a call like at 11 p.m. at night, hey, the toilet's leaking, like, okay, I'll come over. I would literally do that. That's my personality. I would go do it. But since my properties are thousands of miles away, I can't. So I don't even think. They just take care of it. Hey, it's a line item on an expense. It's just the cost of doing business. I'm still making money. Hey, good. I don't have to think about it.
Yeah. I love that. And that all goes back to a good property manager, but you're right. I'm kind of the same way. Like, oh, I could change that plug. I can do, but it's nice not being able to do that in its own way. Yeah. Well, and you mentioned the Hawaii thing. I mean, it's nuts. Like I live in base housing right now. I'm renting from the government. I'm not even saving any of my housing allowance because it's a, 1-for-1 swap for your housing allowance for base housing. And that's partially because we made like 6 offers when we got out here, and they were all, I'd offer, the asking price or 5,000 over, and someone would come in 50 grand over the top in cash. And I'm like, how am I ever supposed to compete with that?
No, you can't.
But they were all appreciation investing. I'm trying to make it cash flow or at least break even so I can build equity in it.
Yeah.
Not happening without a 45-minute commute, which my at the time pregnant wife was not having. So
no, not at all. But you know what? Even though I've said on East and West Coast, on the coastlines, it's really hard to invest, and on top of that, even Hawaii would be really hard to invest. I did come across an investor who I actually interviewed on my podcast. I have a podcast where I interview people as well as teach about real estate rental properties, and I interviewed him, and he rents or buys properties in Washington D.C. and rents them out. And when he first told me where he buys properties, his business is in Washington, D.C. I said, what? How in the world are you able to do that? That's like Washington, D.C. is the place where that's the government. That's where all the money flows to because they take the money out of our pockets because of being taxes. It goes there. And so they're like the rich capital. Like that's where all the money flows to. So they are rich. They don't do any work. They just take our money. Sorry, quick rant on my taxes going to them. But he buys properties in Washington, D.C. where it's extremely crazy prices, and he makes money. And I'll give you just a quick tip on how he does it. He rents it out per room, but he rents it out to groups of people. And this is specific for Washington, D.C. It could be a college town, or it could be San Francisco. It could be something like that. But he says, okay, there are 6 rooms, and he makes it so that, buys a house and then makes it so there's a total of 6 rooms. And then he says, here's a 6-room property. It's for rent for this much per room. And then you need to get together a group of people and then all rent the house together. You guys are all on the lease together, but you're renting out per room. And so the spread is so much easier rather than a family. A family that's going to be renting a house, there may at most going to be to spend $3,000, but he's making $6,500. And so he's cash flowing like $800, if not $1,000 every single month on these properties. He has, anyway, so the business model is totally different than what I would do and probably what David does. But hey, there's ways to make money. And so unless you actually have a coach like David or somebody showing you where you're learning, you might not know of these strategies that are out there. And one quick tip, if you ever did something like that where you rented to tenants that are students or you rent out per room, but especially per students, what I would do is, so if you're in a college town, you get people in per room, get their parents to be co-signers on the lease. So their parents will make sure that lease is paid. So if there's any problems, hey, Johnny, he's not doing so good. So I need you to either talk to him or I'm going to have to evict you and your kids. So a quick tip to give everybody, if you're going to have kids or students in there, make sure their parents are co-signers on the lease.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's brilliant. And I mean, it just goes to show that being creative goes a long way in the real estate world. So Dustin, what's the one resource, book, course, website you'd recommend for anyone getting started in real estate? And by the way, feel free to plug yourself here because I know you are a coach.
Oh, I appreciate it. So, well, when I first started investing, I saw one of those guru ads. It was like, come to this 1-hour seminar. It's free. You come learn everything. I did. I was like, okay, I'll go. It's free. So I went there. And then I sat through the 1-hour pitch and okay, after this, like it's so hype, all hype. And they said, here's $1,000 course or seminar. You go to 2-day seminar. So I ran to the back and I was like, yeah, because I was young, naive. I didn't know anything. I ran back. Oh, here's $1,000. And I went to the seminar. And after going to the seminar, I thought that was going to be the end all be all, or $1,000. That's a lot of money to me. Then after that, they said, here's another $35,000 course to learn how to invest in rental properties. I was like, I just paid you $1,000. What was that for? Like you just made me want to buy more. It was sad. So because
I've done the same.
Yeah. You didn't spend the $35,000
No.
Okay.
In fact, I bought the 3-day seminar and I didn't get to go that weekend. So it was like 2 years later. And by the time I went, I was like, oh, I'm far enough along. I don't need to go anymore, but I paid for this. So I'm going down. I was like a crusty old guy who sat in the back. I
thought $35,000. If I had $35,000, which I didn't, if I had $35,000, I would buy a property and learn my own rather than giving it to you and not having anything to show for it. So after building my business, after having that experience and building my business. And a lot of people that just, hey, you're going to quit your job. How do I do it? So a lot of things kind of wrestling in my brain is like, number one, it shouldn't be that crazy, ridiculously expensive to teach somebody. And there has to be people out there that just want to help. That really just want to help people. And I thought, you know what? I've already helped dozens of my friends and family invest in real estate. Many of them already quit their jobs. One was like 3 years and he quit his job. It was just fantastic for him. And I thought, you know what? Might as well start helping people because number one, I don't need the money. And number two, I really like helping people. I like teaching people, but I mean, hopefully it comes across I'm passionate. I love teaching people how to invest in real estate. And so I created my blog, Master Passive Income, and masterpassiveincome.com. I created my podcast. I have an online course, the Ultimate Real Estate Investing course, where it's not $35,000. In fact, it's a fraction of that price. And I thought it should be courses that are like $2,000, $3,000, at most $5,000. Like there's no reason. Now, this is great that there's a course, like my course is $2,000, but I also do have coaching on top of that too. What's great is somebody can never go to college, get a regular job, like work at Costco or work in the military, and get one property, go through my course, learn everything in my course, and never go to college, never need to get a raise, and then build your business up over time. And in 8 years, 10 years, you can literally quit your job. So like I said, my course is $2,000. $2,000, like my kids, I'm saying, do not go to college and spend 50 grand. I'm going to give it to my kids, obviously, but I'm only charging 2,000. I have a student that's going through. He's like, he was going to go to college, but he got my course instead. And now he's actually getting on his way to quitting his job and never needing a job and not needing to go to college. Like I need to go to college for 4 years to eventually work, to eventually save up for 65 years old and then quit. No, I'm going to go through real estate. So we'll learn with David, learn with myself. So I have a podcast, Master Passive Income podcast as well. Hopefully if you guys would check that out too. I just solely talk about real estate rental properties. You know, I don't talk about flipping. I don't talk about, stocks or anything about rental properties. So hopefully I could give some insights into you guys. But yeah, just start. Talk with somebody who's already done it, because if you are able to change your life, you're able to help other people change their lives, because so many people are just in the drudgery of the just over broke job. I mean, David, you know that term. We're just over broke. Every paycheck comes in our pocket. It's already spent and we can never get ahead. We don't want that. We want to get to where our money's working for us and we don't work for money.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that you write that off as a tax write-off when you give your kids your free course.
Yeah,
it's a donation.
Absolutely.
I'm sure there's a way to justify that in the tax realm, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I definitely like the idea of just learning from someone else. I mean, and there's so many people who get out there and they say that, and the resources and all the quotes about reading a book rather than trying to learn everything yourself. But yeah, if you've got someone like Dustin who's done it and has an awesome course,
I'll give you one other thing.
Yeah.
That another tip that I would give myself, like if I were to go back to I think it was 26, 27 when I first started investing. If I were to go back and give myself a tip, it would be to either hire a coach or go through a course that's not $35,000. Go through a course that's actually going to show you how to do it, because I, as a business owner, built my business from scratch, not learning from anybody. Through the School of Hard Knocks, I spent tens of thousands of dollars on my business, wasting. Just expenses that shouldn't have been there, evictions, letting somebody stay too long, not knowing that I needed to really fully gut the property, things like that. I just didn't know because I didn't have experience. If you get somebody that's coaching you and saying, hey, watch out for this because this could come, or even just overpaying for a property when I should have paid a lot less. There's so many different ways I spent tens of thousands of dollars that I didn't need to. If I found a coach, I would have all that money back in my pocket and be further along. But I would strongly recommend get somebody to coach you. Now, don't spend the $35,000 going to those gurus. You don't need to do that. Get somebody that's going to be a reasonable price that you can stomach and you can pay. But then I like a lot of my coaching students, I'm helping them get out of debt too. I'm helping them cut their expenses. I'm helping them increase their money to save. And then I'm helping them find properties, buy properties, running the numbers, making sure they make money. I'm literally, as if I were doing it myself, I'm doing it for them, and they are building their business to be fantastic where they can quit their job. So don't lose tens of thousands of dollars like I had done. Get somebody that can help you get to where you want to be.
Yeah. And preferably without just walking around screaming, will you be my mentor? Anyway, sorry, kind of an inside joke for real estate guys. Man, so I guess kind of covered everything that I normally cover. And I think we've already kind of plugged your website, but I'm going to let you do it again. Where can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, thank you. Masterpassiveincome.com. That's my website. And like I said, courses, coaching, but my podcast is great too. I give a lot of great content, Master Passive Income Podcast. You can search it on iTunes and all those other ones. But yeah, it was great being on here. I really love it. Hopefully it comes across. I'm passionate. I love talking about real estate. I love helping people. And so just like you, David, it's just all about helping more people. The more people we help, the better everything gets.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's obviously passionate. Dustin and I hung out at FinCon, like we said, and it's kind of funny. The FinCon group, I was joking about this with someone yesterday. The real estate guys in the FinCon group are like the bikers. I mean, we were like not necessarily being super rowdy, but it was like we got told we had to leave the pool because we couldn't have brought our own beer into the hotel, and then we like went back. It sat in the back of the room during the awards ceremony, and but the reality is that, I mean, all the real estate guys, like we just clicked, and it was just, it's cool. And it's like, yeah, you said the super passionate. And I mean, it's obvious, right? There's no one, I have yet to meet somebody in like the real estate realm who is miserable, right? Like we all have that terrible point, but like I've not yet met an I hate my job, why do I do this person? And I don't foresee that I ever will, because it's a great investment and it's something that you're getting to drive, and it's your baby, which just,
you're right. And also with FinCon being a little different, the other people that are there are trying to make money online. They're trying to figure out ways to make money online. You and I, people that do real estate, that teach it, we teach it because we love it, because we love helping other people. Like I literally don't need any money coming in. Like when I sell my course for $2,000, honestly, it's not for me to make money. Even though I value my time, I value the amount of effort. I mean, it's a huge course. I mean, there's lots of stuff into it. I don't need to go further into it, but the biggest reason why is because even though I don't need need the money, all my money comes in from real estate. I want it so that people have skin in the game. Yep. So let me give you an example. If I'm going to learn how to play the guitar, I'm going to buy a $4,000 guitar, because if it's sitting on if I have it on a stand or if I was just in a case, it's going to be eating at me. $4,000 in a case, I'm not learning it. I'm better pick that thing up and learn it. And so I use that as a way to say, I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to make sure you're doing it. And you're putting your skin in the game. Like if you put this to waste, you are definitely just doing yourself a disservice. Get in there, start investing. And I hold everybody accountable that comes into the course. Like, where are you in your investing? So yeah, I love investing. And so everybody, if you're listening or as you're watching this, and if you're listening to this online, just get started. Buy your first property, learn some mistakes, and then find somebody that's going to help you to keep going. And so, yeah, work with David here. He's a great guy. Dave, it's been great talking to you again. It was great being with you at FinCon too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to mess this quote up before I get out of here, but because you mentioned the skin in the game, I just wrote in a blog post, there's a Harvard study done that and they tested, it was like 12 different courses, and they normally anywhere from $50 to $250, and they had just a whole bunch of students do it, but they gave it to all the students for free. And the completion rate was, I mean, it was something appalling. It was like 5%, 7%. Absolutely. I mean, it was ridiculous. And then they did the exact same courses with just a different random group of people. And I mean, it was like 53% more people completed the survey or the product. And it was like 60 or 70%. Same crappy college course that nobody wanted to take, but the difference of having paid for it. And that has been proven time and time and time again.
I can absolutely attest to that. So I put a smaller course, a really small version, like maybe 10% of my actual course, I put on Udemy. So udemy.com is a place that people go and they put courses up and people learn. And so I put it out there for free. I said, I just want to help people, just come check out this course. And like I said, it was like 10% of my main course. And for free, I had thousands of people do it, like literally tens of thousands of people sign up for it. And I want to say 2% of the people actually went through it. But on top of that, they got through like 3 or 4, maybe 10% of it, but only like 2 or 3% of the people actually finished it. But the sad thing is, I was getting people that were reviewing, they were giving me like 1-star reviews. Oh, there's no way to invest in real estate. There's no way they just had no, they were not reserved at all about their skepticism about real estate, and they put it on my course. Now, since then, I've done another course that I put it on there where it's $100 for the course. I'm getting almost 5-star reviews on every single time. People are loving the course, and people are finishing the course because they have the skin in the game. They're saying, I'm actually going to learn. I want to learn what I'm being taught here. So yeah, that's great that you brought that up. I didn't know about that study, but I firsthand saw that. I'm like, I'm just trying to help you out. Like, this is for free, and you're bagging my course. I'm like, my goodness, that's just sad. Oh well, live and
Yeah,
learn.
yeah. Yeah, I'll shoot you the quote. It's or the stat. It's actually kind of cool.
That'd be great.
All right. Well, I am probably gonna end up being late because I talked too long to go drag my Marines in a circle around a track and this thing we call running, or let them drag me around because I'm old and slow now. But in fact, I just had yesterday, like my Facebook likes to remind me about how terrible I am. So it popped up yesterday with a memory from how on the 18th of November last year, I ran 20 miles around the base to prep for the marathon right before I tore my meniscus. And here I am today, and I'm like dreading to go run 3. And I'm like, oh, great. Thanks for the reminder, phone. I'm garbage now. But anyway, Dustin, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate this.
Absolutely, David. Thank you very much for having me. It's been great.
Have a great day.
You too, buddy.